All right, man. Peace. We're just continuing this NBA Finals Game 1 coverage. And now LeBron's going to make he's going to make a little prediction. He's going to make a little prophetic statement in regards to this series and his understanding of how this series is going to go. LeBron has a phenomenal basketball brain. And I think that he knows a wall that he can't climb without help when he sees one. And I think that he understands that Golden State, they're just an octopus with too many tentacles. There's too many arms that they have. It's like trying to box an octopus. They have 8 arms, you only have 2. And I think that LeBron understands, and he understood from when they signed Kevin Durant, that when you bring a Kevin Durant onto the team, he's not as good as LeBron, but he nullifies LeBron. So when you have teammates like Kevin Durant has, with Steph Curry and Draymond and Klay Thompson and a coaching staff led by Steve Kerr, all guys that operate on a cerebral level. LeBron understands that his team does not operate on a cerebral level. They're one-on-one players on that team, with him as the hub. He knows that. So he's pretty much now, he's going to make a statement where he's pretty much going to predict that not only that Cleveland's going to lose the series, but it's going to be because of Kevin Durant. He knows it already. He knows that Kevin Durant basically offsets him. All right. And if left up to the supporting members of each team, Golden State is going to win, because you can make the case. Most people won't, but you can make the case that Curry is even better than Durant. So if Curry is taking a supporting role on that team, they have no chance, because like I stated before, Kyrie Irving is a great and a splendid one-on-one player. But he's nowhere near as good as Steph Curry in a team concept. Nowhere near as good. And some people might get upset by that. Kyrie Irving could not even lead that team to the playoffs. Steph Curry, in the 2012-2013 season, led that team to the second round of the playoffs and actually won 2 games against the Spurs in the second round of the 2013 playoffs. And this is with Draymond coming off the bench playing about 10, 15 minutes a game. All right, maybe a little bit more by the playoffs of that season. But Draymond was not even starting that year. All right. But anyway, we're going to watch Michael Smith and Jamel Hill talk about the game, and then we're going to watch LeBron kind of make an early concession speech.
The Cavs and their other pieces, I don't think they played as well as they wanted to as well, also. And look, LeBron James, he doesn't have a great record when it comes to losing or winning games on the road in this situation. All right. What does often happen is that he is known for responding in game 2. Look, I'm not going to sit up here and try to make an argument that the Cavs are the better team. They're not. I didn't feel that way going into this series.
You just don't want to overreact to one game.
I don't. And
it might not be 22 every night.
Because I don't think.
And I think it's smart not to overreact to game 1, because you never know what can happen in game 2. But I think that we all know the difference between a game where one team one team just gets hot from the field and, they just blow the team out, as opposed to just being better than the other team. I mean, people keep trying to compare this series to last year's series. Like I said before, last year's series, the Golden State Warriors came into the series hamstrung and went up 3-1. All right, this year's team is about 40% better than last year's team, and everybody's healthy. They played 3 times so far. Cleveland's been blown out twice, and they had to come back from down damn near 20 in Cleveland to win. All right, to a Golden State team that had only been playing together for about a month and a half.
Cavs are going to have 20 turnovers every
No, listen, the Cavs won't have 20 turnovers. You'd like to think Tristan Thompson would play better. You would like to think LeBron won't turn it over 8 times. But again, Klay and Dre, 6 for 28 between them.
I know.
Okay? They missed 15 layups in the first half.
That's my point. Golden State has not even played their A game yet, and they beat them by 20 plus. All right. I thought Cleveland actually played a pretty good game. I thought that their top 2 guys played a pretty good game for them. All right. I don't think that you're going to get any 60 or 65% from the field games from LeBron or Kyrie in this series. I think that KD is going to play too good a defense on LeBron for him to shoot 65% in any game, but we'll see.
So you had 2 guys in double figures for Golden State. So everybody that's saying Cleveland won't play that poorly, they can play better, so can Golden State. And what I see is perhaps, LeBron has lost finals before, perhaps Cleveland's better performance, or even Cleveland's best, just might not be good enough. So like I said, I thought it'd be a short series going in. Don't feel any differently after last night. So indulge me to look ahead, like as in way ahead. My imagination is running wild. And I got to thinking about the big picture when I heard how matter-of-fact LeBron was about the one key to game one.
If there was one thing that stands out to you about them, whether it's speed or whatever, what was it for tonight?
KD.
Y'all heard that? Now you're in a championship final series, and you're saying that the main thing that stood out about the ass whooping that you took by 22 points to another team is the player opposite you on the opposing team, the one who's playing your position on the other team. So what is LeBron saying when he says that? He's saying that I still hope that we can win this series, but if we don't, KD, I'm happy for you that you got a championship win. You guys are the better team. I'm not going to blatantly say that right now because if I can win this series, I want to be viewed as an Incredible Hulk, Superman type figure. And I can finally try to lay stake to the claim that I'm better than Michael Jordan. Right? So I have to leave the door open. But right now I'm seeing the writing on the wall. The light at the end of the tunnel is the train coming my way. All right? Why would you sit in a press conference and say that the main thing that overwhelmed you or that astounded you or that impressed you about the other team is the player opposite you on the other team? That's an early concession speech in my view. In my view. Let's see what else he has to say.
You take one of the best teams that we had ever assembled last year, that we saw in the regular season and in the postseason, and then, in the offseason you had a high-powered offensive talent like that and a great basketball IQ like that. That's what stands out.
So that's what stands out. And LeBron, he's playing in game 2, right? So in other words, you're saying you play one of the greatest teams in the last 2 years, the previous 2 seasons in the championship round, and you lost one, and, you easily could have lost last year, other than, the fact that all the dominoes fell your way. And now they added arguably the second or third best player in the NBA after you. And that's what impressed you the most. So what really are you saying, LeBron? You're saying that you know that you guys are going to lose this series unless something unbelievable happens. All right? So like I said before, expect Cleveland to be very physical game 2. If they lose game 2, expect them to be dirty in game 3. If they lose game 3, game 4, they're pretty much going to concede. And LeBron is going to make excuses. He's going to say, well, they had Kevin Durant. They had Kevin Durant just to come against me. What do you expect? Something along those lines. I don't understand why you would make a statement like that after game 1, unless you already know the writing is on the wall.
Sometimes things are just that simple. We knew that they were upgrading from self-check Harrison Barnes to...
And that's a bit much. Self-check Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is a nice player. All right, he's a good player. He actually was a very good clutch shooter for them until last year's finals. That's why I said everything fell in line for Cleveland last year. That's why they were so giddy about winning the championship. Because deep down they knew that they had no business winning that series. They knew it.
Kevin Durant to an already great all-time team, okay? And there was a lot of bad defense on the part of what has, for the most part this year, been a bad defensive team in Cleveland last night. But look at the conundrum they put you in. Kevin Durant's barreling down court. You want to give up 2 or you want to give up 3 to Steph Curry in the corner. So, yeah, it was a lot of wide open stuff because that's what they forced you to do. Exactly.
All right. The things that Golden State does cannot be game planned out of the game. They have too much talent, and their system is it totally capitalizes on their personnel. All right. There's nothing that Cleveland's going to be able to do outside of muck up the game, get dirty, and execute extremely well in the half-court set, which is really not their strength. Because, as LeBron admitted, they're a one-on-one team.
That's why people got so upset about Kevin Durant taking the quote-unquote easy way out. Because the game's that easy when you're surrounded by that kind of talent.
Makes you think again about Tyloo's comments about the Celtics being harder to defend.
Well, that's why he was landing on thick. Because he realized, I said this, and okay, I'm not going to give y'all any more bulletin board material. But here's what...
Tyronn Lue see the writing on the wall, too. And he did a lot of shit talking last year and this season as well, talking about wearing their heads and all this other bullshit. All right. Now he see the writing on the wall as well. So like I said before, it's one thing when you can beat up, When you could beat up the best looking kid on the block because you're so insecure about him being better looking than you and being smarter than you, and you beat him up because he had a bum shoulder. Right now he's fully healed up, and he got hand skills too, and now he coming to whoop your ass. So now you want to act like you his friend. No, it's too late.
That's what I'm trying to get at. LeBron does not take losing lying down. Let's say that
He took losing lying down right there when his ass slipped when KD busted his ass.
About this being a short series and the Warriors really give it to the Cavs over the next 4 or 5 games or whatever. Last year, it took 2-3-1 collapses to change the nature of the league as we saw it. Oklahoma City and then Golden State to get Kevin Durant in Golden State. This is where I'm at with this series. Sorry, Cleveland. I'm already at the point where I'm like, what happens if it's a 4 or 5 game series in Cleveland? Because LeBron's not going to be content to say, hey, you know what? We're just not good enough. Even though we beat them last year under different circumstances, we're just not good enough to beat this team, or we're going to come back and run it back with the same squad. They got the same squad that they had last year for the most part, but last year they were able to pull out the 3-1 comeback. If they don't hang with this team, I'm curious as to whether LeBron really starts to try to shake things up the way they've been rumored to be doing the last couple of years. Does he try to get Melo to come there? I don't even know if they can. I'm just spitballing here.
I was talking about this with a brother, a little earlier. Shout out to my brother Yawasop. I believe that if the ass whooping is bad enough this year, LeBron may opt out of his contract. All right, wouldn't shock me if he tried to mosey his ass down to San Antonio to play for the minimum, right? Or maybe go out to the Clippers and play for the minimum. He already has a house out there. He already has the pretext of fighting, quote unquote, fighting racism allegedly out there. Maybe team up with his boy Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, right? And then he could finally let Kyrie have the team that he always believes that he can handle on his own, right? But LeBron is not going to sit back and take ass whoopings for the next 4 years. He's just not going to do that. And if Golden State stays together, that's exactly what he's going to have to do, is take that ass whooping, because he's only getting older. I don't care how many performance-enhancing drugs he takes, allegedly. All right? He's only getting older. I saw a few plays last night where he definitely does not have the lift that he used to have. All right? When he gets a running start, he can get great lift. But often, off of 2 feet, he don't have it anymore. All right? So he is getting older. There's no doubt about that. And it wouldn't shock me if they get swept or losing, or it's a ugly gentleman sweep, that he might be out of there. That's why I mentioned after this game, when he was in the hallway after the game, giving his teammates 5 with all that fake positive, because LeBron is good for that team building shit that he does. But then after game 2 or 3, couple more ass whoopings, you're going to see him start throwing guys under the bus. All right. And this would be a very good pretext for him to leave, with the Chris Paul thing and Kyrie already wanting his own team. Don't be shocked. That's why I said, why would you sit in a press conference bigging up KD like that, unless you're already setting up an excuse both for why you lost and for why you might leave? Who knows? We'll see.
Does he try to get Melo? Does he say, hey, CP3, if you're looking to take a pay cut, let's put this super friends, let's assemble the Avengers to take down the Justice League out in, if I can mix universes, if you don't mind, out in Golden State. I just wonder what he's going to do, because
him and CP3 wouldn't fit well together, though. CP3 is a ball dominator. LeBron is a ball dominator. Right? I mean, CP3 he can play off the ball because he has a good mid-range game, but they wouldn't fit well together. Their style would clash.
Last time this happened against San Antonio, he went to Cleveland not just to fulfill a promise to his hometown, but to contend for a championship.
Plus, they're not beating Golden State. Even with LeBron and if LeBron goes to LA, play with the Clippers, and plays with Chris Paul and say Blake Griffin and homeboy at center, what's his name, DeAndre Jordan, they're still not beating the Warriors. They don't match up well with them at all. They just don't. Plus, they're just going to be a year older.
Immediately, you know what I'm saying? So what could happen? There's no Kevin Durant running around.
Right.
But who's he going to try to team up with to take this team down if he goes down without much of a fight?
Here's the irony of this entire situation about LeBron possibly this summer going into mastermind mode.
Yep.
Is he, in a weird way,
and he is a mastermind. Like I said, his basketball brain is off the charts. No doubt about that.
he is credited with creating all of this. The moment that he went to Miami,
even though it was really Boston.
It was really Boston.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people look at that differently in hindsight. Okay, so him going.
Look, all that super team shit is, it is what it is, man. Super teams go all the way back to the Bill Russell Celtics and the Philadelphia Warriors with Wilt Chamberlain and Hal Greer and Chet Walker, and then you had Wilt with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. Super teams go way back. That shit is nothing new. People try to act like that stuff is so new. It's not new.
Miami and being able to establish the big three of the moment, that forced other teams into looking into that dynamic and trying to create their own in some kind of way. And that's part of why the Warriors, if you look at their track record since they started assembling all their talent, that's why being just good enough has never been good enough for them. And that's why they went after Kevin Durant in the first place. So they're playing chess. But my fear for LeBron is he can only play checkers from here on out, because think about the circumstance of what you just mentioned, of what it took for Kevin Durant to get there.
Yeah.
There's no Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's just
How
don't
do you
walk
replicate
around.
that? Yeah.
That's why I said either he's going to have to take the minimum and go out to the Clippers, or he might try to force his way down to San Antonio and take the minimum, right? And be on some I just want to win shit. But right now, the options for LeBron are so slim. If he were to leave Cleveland and ditch Cleveland again from losing, like, it would really be on some soap opera shit. Like, it'd be like, come on now.
LeBron is an exception, and what he did is he showed a blueprint. That's why Kevin Durant probably felt more comfortable doing what he did, because he saw LeBron do it.
And he also felt comfortable what he did because he was sick and tired of Russell Westbrook. And I'm gonna make a video about him soon too, with his silly ass.
I know the circumstances were different, so now can he convince another superstar, or, as I brought up, are we so sure that he's going to remain in Cleveland?
I find it hard to believe.
He wants championships, and if he sees that window closes quicker than he thinks, will he think in his mind, maybe I need to go somewhere
He certainly
else?
has the currency to pull it if he wants to, more than he did the first time, because he delivered the championship. I don't think he would do that again, but this is where I guess I do give it some credibility, especially the people that have said, hey, he's got these short-term contracts in order to maximize leverage on Dan Gilbert. Again, admittedly, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. So one game into the series.
We stretch Armstrong.
Y'all really ain't getting that far ahead, because believe me, that stuff is going around, swirling around in LeBron's brain. Because when I heard him say that shit about KD last night, I said, oh, this nigga's already setting up a pretext. Oh, no, he's already setting up a concession speech, and he's already setting up an exit interview, right? Do not be surprised if he leave Cleveland if they get their asses whooped bad enough, all right? He might even make up some fake argument with Kyrie or some fake beef with Dan Gilbert to justify leaving. I wouldn't put anything past this guy. Like I said, he is a master manipulator.
Exactly. One game into a series, but if this is a sign of things to come, then there are going to be changes are going to come. Shout out to Sam Cooke, the late great Sam Cooke. Changes are going to come in Cleveland, because LeBron's just not going to say, all right, let's just bring the same group back again. This is a guy that was upset. We argued about this year. Upset about the lack of a second playmaker during the regular season.
Yeah.
He upset because they weren't using the last roster spot. He is going to want to bring back the best team possible. As obsessed as he is with the Warriors, the best team possible to try to even this at 2-2 if he loses.
I believe the man was, when he talk about a playmaker, I believe LeBron was mad that they wouldn't trade Kyrie for Chris Paul. All right? That's what I believe he was trying to get done. But, it is what it is.
For a second time to this Golden State team.
He's also got to think about the teams behind him. Namely, one team is Boston. So teams are nipping at his heels from a bunch of different directions.
All right, now with all that star power on the floor.
But anyway, we'll see what happens with LeBron as this series continues on. All right? But like I said, do not be surprised as this series continues on and it proceeds. If Golden State continues to ratchet it up and the ass whoopings get worse and worse, that this dude bails out of Cleveland. All right? Because ain't no way in hell you're supposed to be sitting down after game one and saying KD is what impressed you the most. That's in a way, that's him saying, you know what, it's not my year. All right? So peace.